The first moment, the final moment, every moment, this this right here, right now. So, wrapping up my online teaching career for 2024 with this live stream. I know some of you have already seen the uh, blessing video or goodbye video. Be going into retreat, and something that's very important for me to do right now, to step back and go inwardly. As many great masters and teachers say, the way out is in. And I'm really feeling a lot of happiness and excitement about going more inwardly and letting go of social media. And it's something I've been thinking about recently, uh, even though I haven't felt that I'm actually kind of attached to or identifying a lot with the social media, Facebook, other platforms, uh, I recognize that it is something I check. It's something I look on my phone, I look back to. And then what I'm looking back to or checking in with is like this self referencing scheme or presentation of an image of myself, right? And that's not really what I want to be involved with at all, is reifying my self image, or kind of what I naturally go to take another look at is something that's building up or holding up my self image. So you may want to look at that yourself, taking some time to, just taking some time to step back from Facebook or other forms of social media. But in doing that, you have to engage with life. You have to step into life, and maybe taking off some of those social medias may give you the little bit of extra boost or extra energy to find a place to volunteer, to make the time to go to a meditation center, Buddhist temple, make the time to go inward, which is what, you know, I think the goal of life is to go inward and learn how to make this body, mind, life experience as wonderful as it possibly can be. And how do you do that? Well, that's what this whole channel, that's what all that I've been sharing has been about. You go back to your breathing, you listen to Dhamma talks, you volunteer, you sacrifice, you follow precepts. All of these are just tools for going within yourself very deeply and very seriously. And I recently did some interviews and videos with some pretty big social media influencers. One was Matan Evan, and another was this guy named Anthony, or Anthpo. And my experience with that is that influencers or famous people are just human beings. So, as imperfect as I am, they're also imperfect. But any opportunity to reach people and be accessible and kind of let more people know about Buddhism and meditation, I think that's a good thing. Um, what happens when you die? When you die, give me a call, let me know. All right? We'll be the first to broadcast that information. But actually, there is a teaching here about heaven. I've been listening to Sadhguru a lot recently, and Sadhguru talks about that heaven is the worst idea or the worst kind of scheme that's been put onto the world. And there's this idea that there's some better place, there's some perfect place, there's some ideal place over there, or that's there when you die. Well, if it's so wonderful, if that's where you want to go, then go there as quick as you can. Isn't that what we would be trying to do if that was this other place? But the teaching is to make this life, make this body, make this mind heavenly. Make your heaven now, and that you have to take on that responsibility. The spiritual path is all about taking on that responsibility to make this heart, this body, this mind, this life, regardless of the outside world, regardless of the negativity that you feel inside of yourself, start to do that work to transform it and make use and get a hold of whatever you can to make that transformation possible. So I'm glad to see so many people here. Welcome. Well, yeah, So how do we make this life heaven? How do you make this moment heaven? How do you transform your suffering? How do you get the freedom in your life? How do you find your purpose? All this jazz, all this stuff, right? You have to be serious about that. You have to be a seeker. You have to be looking for that actually. And I can't make anyone be looking for that. And if you're only looking for that in a little way, how can I transform my suffering? How can I find freedom? How can I develop blissfulness and happiness within myself? If that question is just a little tiny question, then you're going to get a little tiny answer. But once you really start to take this seriously, like, I want to be free. You know, I want to be at peace with myself. I want to love myself. I want to find out what this self really is or who I really am. Then you pursue, you look into, you investigate, you look deeply. You know what's real by looking deeply into it. And looking deeply isn't really about thinking or just talking to yourself or thinking about things. It's how you apply your awareness consistently and intensively with different tools like forms of meditation or mantras or rituals, ceremonies that you can do, especially listening to Dhamma talks, listening to guidances from spiritual teachers. But none of this can reach you. None of this can really inspire you or guide you unless you're really serious about it. It's like if I was a firefighter trying to tell people about the benefits of firefighting. You either want to be a firefighter or you don't. You either want to be free or you don't. You either want to know deeply the truth of freedom, of liberation, of enlightenment, or you don't. So I'm just an access point, but I'm not a salesman. So you just got to look. There are doorways to liberation everywhere. But if you think that this way of life, of being free, of understanding about your true nature and understanding about the nature of life is just about thinking about things, you're dead wrong. You don't know who you are. You don't know what the world is. You don't understand yourself. You don't even know what you're thinking about. You don't even know what you're saying most of the time. You're as lost can be. You don't know. So leave it there and empower that not knowing. Empower that I don't know. No arrogance, no confidence. So this is the problem, right? Confidence about ignorance. Confidence with a lack of clarity. Improve your clarity. How do we improve our clarity? By dropping all the bullshit, dropping all the nonsense. Looking at how we're actually living our lives, looking at how what are we actually focusing on, right? What are we actually prioritizing? What are we involved with? What are we taking refuge in? Well, for me, I hope that I never post again, because I hope that I always am hoping this lately. You know, I enter into some profound enlightenment and I just go live in the forest somewhere, you know, and I'm very happy at that time. But probably not going to happen. So I will post again, but taking that time to go inward and to stop social media and stop this kind of social media work. And yes, 100%, you don't know shit. Embrace that, open to that. There's this people I've noticed, people are kind of forcing their way through lives with ignorance, with anger, with fear, with frustration, with animosity, with just this ignorant judgment, no clarity, no awareness, no presence. So you have to be someone who doesn't live like that, right? You have to stop this bullshit talker that constantly goes on and on and on in your mind. You have to let that go. You have to be something and go somewhere that's beyond that. That's not about your thoughts, about yourself and about the world, and not about drugs, okay? Not about consuming something, but giving away. You need to give away more. You need to let go of more. You need to abandon more of your ego, of your psychology, of your arrogance, of your pride. And you have to find an avenue to do that, to put down your arrogance, to put down your confidence, and to start emphasizing clarity over judgment, to start emphasizing awareness over conceptualization. Because when you don't know how to, let's say, stop, or let's say not indulge, let's say not get stuck, not get caught in your own thinking, right? In your own just constant talking and thinking, etc., you also don't know how to cut the bullshit in the world. You're having a very dull intellect, right? Because the intellect is more like a cutting tool. It's precision, like that's BS, that's nonsense. Or I don't know who that person is and they're just saying something, and that doesn't inherently mean anything. So you just end it, you just finish it, you just resolve it. And you open up to life, you open up to awareness. Okay? A depth of presence that's not just about thinking about things and not just about making judgments. You have to look at your life seriously. Do you have happiness? Do you have blissfulness? Do you have peacefulness? Do you have health and wealth? Or are you constantly just thinking about things and pursuing pleasure and trying to avoid pain and constantly, locking yourself into these just nonsense thoughts all the time, again and again and again? What is so important about constantly thinking? Thinking is just a tool, but if you can't stop compulsively thinking, it's diarrhea. You're not thinking, you're not in control of your thoughts, you're not super aware of your thoughts, you just have a constant sense of diarrhea. A constant sense of diarrhea that you identify with. And it's no wonder you smell like shit, you look like shit, you think like shit, you're covered in shit. Because there's this constant stream of diarrhea that you call your thinking that you can't stop, that you can't release, that you can't let go of. You've got it, euphonics. So I do my best. And I will continue. So the question is, what are you serious about? What are you interested in? And then putting your attention, putting your energy, putting your care, putting your heart, your whole body, mind, heart into that work, right? If it's the work of freedom, then that's the work of the Buddha. That's the work of the Dhamma. That's the work of the Sangha. That's what this YouTube channel has been about. And don't shy away from the intensity. This path and this practice is not about getting to a state of like dullness or zombifying ourselves or like, we're not thinking about things. And especially that we're not just running around making declarative statements. This is the way that it is. Hey, did you know about that? Just be quiet. It's not about dullness, it's about intensity. It's about intimacy. It's about vibrancy, right? Really showing up and opening up this heart to life and to everything that life is, which there's There's fear, there's pain, there's pleasure, there's anxiety, there's depression, there's joy, there's happiness, there's bliss, there's freedom, there's service. So opening up our awareness to really dive into every aspect of our experience. And at that time, we can start to transform our experience to be the way that we really want it to be. And if what we're truly looking for is freedom, liberation, the end of suffering, then we can find that. We can get that. If we need to restructure our psychology, if we need to cure our depression, cure our anxiety, release our traumas, deal with our difficulties, we can do that. And there's a community out there to help you to do that. But first, you need to take on that responsibility for yourself of what you really are serious about, so that you don't go around wasting people's time. You don't go around wasting your own time, but you make use of each and every subtle moment-by-moment morsel of this life that's right here and now, continuously, again and again and again. Each breath, each sight, each sound, each experience in the body. Not just this constant overflowing of a diarrhea of thinking that so many people are stuck in and lost in. And this just, we go into these kind of nests in our mind. We go into these nests of our life where there's no awareness, there's no brightness there, there's no community there. We're not getting checked on what we're saying, how we're acting, how we're thinking, how we go about things. And then you just become an insane person. You just become a lunatic. And then every chance that there is where people might be able to see you or might be able to hear you, you act crazy. You say, I've got to share my shit. Well, go home and clean your house, clean your room, clean your heart. Go out there and volunteer and serve and practice generosity. Because it doesn't matter how much money you have, the real wealth is a heart and a mind and a body and a life of service, of generosity, of sacrifice, of surrender, of the rejuvenation of coming back to life, which is not just some vague, complicated, negative, or vague, complicated, positive idea. Life is not an idea. Who made this life? The great thinker in the sky? I don't subscribe to that. God is not a thinker. God is not composed of thoughts. And you also are not composed of thoughts. So stop identifying with thoughts and stories and ideas and start opening up the chest, opening up the heart, opening up the mind, opening up everything to life. And it needs to get intense. You have to find a way to get involved. You have to find a way to show up. And I don't know what you in particular are interested in, person who's hearing my voice in the ether. But you need to know what you're interested in. You need to know what's important to you. You need to engage. You need to look deeply. You need to show up to this life. Otherwise, what are you doing here? Waiting for heaven? Waiting for some other place? Waiting to win the lottery? That's not a life worth living. This is a life worth living. This breath, this heartbeat, this body just being here, sitting here, this seeing, this hearing, every moment, every experience, really open to it. Widen out, brighten out. Don't worry about what other people are doing, and don't worry about what God's doing, or who God is, or what that's about. Worry about what you're doing. Get engaged with what you're doing. Get engaged with how you're living your life. And where is your life? It's right here. It's right now. The only reason you don't know much about yourself is because every moment of life, you're putting your attention somewhere else. You're seeking some movie, you're seeking some food, you're seeking something outside, some other experience. You're waiting for some other time, you're waiting for some other place. You're worrying about other thoughts and all these ideas and stories. This is life. Enter into it. Turn inward. If your inward reality, if your inward experience is only thinking and only needs to be about thoughts, then what is this? What is this? What is this? Is this thoughts? Is hearing thoughts? Is seeing thoughts? Is breathing thoughts? Is your body, the experience of your body, thoughts? Why does everything need to be about thinking all the time? Why is your life and the way that you view yourself and the way that you enter into the world and enter into yourself and face yourself all about thinking thoughts and words? Why would it need to be that way? Breathing in is not about thinking. Breathing out is not about thinking. Seeing is not about thinking. Hearing is not about thinking. And if thoughts were just about thoughts, then wouldn't your entire body and all your senses dissolve immediately? So I'm not telling you to reject thoughts or get rid of thoughts or try to cut the thoughts out of your mind. No, what I'm inviting you to do is kind of question why thoughts seem to be everything to you. Because this, life as a Buddhist monk and, having a YouTube channel and sharing teachings like this is not about thinking about things. Yeah, a lot of people need a big crack on the head before they can start thinking about virtue. But what is virtue? What does it mean? It means if you do good, you'll feel good. If you do bad, you'll feel bad. So get busy doing what you want to do to make you feel how you want to feel. And that's good and bad. When you do actions of generosity, when you're kind, when you listen, when you're contemplative, when you're considerate, when you're mindful, when you help others, well, we'd have to call that good, wouldn't we? And when we're primarily selfish, focused on ourselves, just trying to get pleasure and just trying to avoid pain all the time like an animal, well, that's not so good, is it? It leads us to anxiety, it leads us to fear, it leads us to depression. So start doing good. Start practicing generosity. Start reworking your approach to life so that it's not just about getting pleasure and avoiding pain. And look at that. Look at within yourself. How much of your life and how much about how you're living your life is just only about feeling pleasure and avoiding pain? How much? And so what is the dimension of life that's not about seeking pleasure? What is the dimension of life that's not about avoiding pain? I think it has something to do with generosity. When we have this opportunity to give, to serve, to offer, to help, we know that that's good. We know that that is wonderful. We know that that is beautiful to be generous. And yet, it means that we're giving away something that's pleasurable to us or something that's ideal to us, something that we identify as positive, right? So we have to experiment with these things. We have to experiment with how we look at the mind and how we look at our life. Rather than just thinking about things, making judgments all the time. Who appointed you to make all these judgments? Right? Maybe it's time for you to stop. And what can you do? What's first thing you can do is to start to make blessings, to start to live in a way to cultivate blessings. And how do we cultivate blessings? Well, we prioritize doing actions of generosity. We prioritize to make donations. We prioritize to volunteer. We prioritize to offer services. We prioritize to share our possessions. We make a priority out of generosity. That means the mind, the body that you described, as big of a mess as it is, there's things that have value to you, right? There are things that are important to you. So you take that big mess of a body and mind, that nightmare of a life, a broken home, a broken mind, a broken body, the worst of the worst. You're the worst person in the entire world. You're the worst. You're suffering, you're depressed, you're anxious, you're a lunatic, you're the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. You take that big hunking sack of garbage shit and you go do some actions of generosity. You figure that out. And from that platform of generosity, we take up precepts. We start to make a commitment inside of ourselves, that big stinking pile of shit that we are, that big garbage hunk with a dirty house, a dirty toilet, everything's filthy, garbage, just horrible, right? And we take that and we put inside of that big pile of shit, I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to serve. I'm going to find a way to donate. I'm going to practice generosity. I'm going to practice these commitments or these trainings of living an ethical life, of being mindful about everything that I do. No justification of ourselves, no defending ourselves, no telling other people the good things that we do. Don't tell other people the good things that you do. Hide the good things that you do and share those negative things that you've done, those wrong actions. At the right place and the right time, you can try to practice like that. Stop whining, stop complaining, stop yapping your mouth, and start practicing and start listening. No need to argue, no need to debate, no need to justify, no need to defend, no need to prove, no need to convince. Just step back and enjoy. Enjoy being alive, enjoy having a body, enjoy breathing, enjoy seeing, enjoy hearing. Really enter into life at this moment. The only way out is in. The answers to your problems, and the answer to any problem is freedom. Freedom from that problem is the answer to the problem. So enter into that experience, that inner life, with mindfulness, with awareness, with presence, with attention, with gratitude for this body and mind. Now I will be going into retreat for 3 months, and it was quite difficult to get out here from India. Delayed flights and rebooked flights and buying extra flights. So it was a real nightmare, but I'm at my destination, and this will be the last live stream that I do for quite a while. Like I said in the video that I posted, a lot of gratitude for all the support over this past year, and I'll be doing my best to deepen my practice and bring more fruits to the world and to our online group here. In the future. And if you have some kind of hunger and a need to hear more teachings from Bhante, there's hundreds of videos, there's hundreds of hours on the YouTube channel, so go back, take a look, leave a comment, ask a question, leave a complaint, recommend some improvement. And instead of, trying to conceptually understand Jesus, practice forgiveness. Practice what Jesus taught. Offer out the great forgiveness, right? Forgive everything. Forgive everyone. Forgive every aspect of your body, mind, experience. Open your whole heart to forgiveness. If you open your whole heart, it means your sincerity, your life force, your life energy, right? Then your body and mind should follow. So where is your heart pointing? Where is your deepest sincerity and intention pointing? And for most people, I think, what you need to actually find your intention and your sincerity and your authenticity is a lot of suffering. So you need to put yourself out there in the right way to eat suffering. You need to suffer. You need to feel suffering. You need to feel the abrasiveness of life that brings about this pearlescence, the smoothness of awareness, with kindness, with compassion, with forgiveness, with heart, with grit. Where are you going to get that grit if you don't experience any of the sandpaper of life? Okay, we're spending all this time whining about our experience and blaming other people and blaming the situation. Well, what we need to do is actually open up to feeling suffering. Stop making excuses about why you're suffering and who's causing your suffering and this and that and this and that, and actually stop yourself long enough to look into that suffering that's here right now, here within yourself right now, to stop all of your nonsense, all of your right points, all of the important things that you have to say and that you know are true, and that you need to you need to get off your, stop all that for a moment, and with mindfulness of breathing, so putting your attention onto the breathing, bring that mind, bring that awareness, bring that attention into the body and be willing to feel suffering. Be willing to feel the uncomfortableness. Be willing to feel the negativity inside of yourself. No excuses. No wiggle room. Steady your hands, steady your resolve. Open the heart. Don't be controlled by fear. All right, friends. May we all be well, happy, peaceful. May we all do our best on this journey of spiritual practice. When we face suffering, when we make mistakes, when we fall down, may we feel the inspiration to get back up and to continue, not to be perfect, not to get what we want, but to be free. And through freedom, may we do many actions that lead us down the path to being, to experiencing, to helping, and to freeing in exactly the way that is most liberating and most freeing and most wonderful and most blissful. May whatever teachings that have been shared today, may whatever merits have been brought about through this practice be offered out to all beings. May all beings rest in peace, and may all beings awaken with blissful exuberance to embrace all that life is. May it be true. May it be free. May it be limitless. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And for anyone who wants to reach out to me or connect with me or access Buddhist resources over the next 3 months, you're welcome to use our website, monklife.one. You'll find more information there. Take care, everybody, and thank you for all your support and your kindness. It's very much appreciated.